Coming up on Tech News Today, we'll find out why Jack Dorsey is back at Twitter and where Evan Williams is and why he's doing macrame. Maybe he's not. But no iPhone 5 for you this summer. At least that's the rumor. And Java's founder joins Google. Is he going to help him take on Oracle? We'll tell you that and more coming up next.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Bandwidth for Tech News Today is provided by Cachefly at CACHEFLY.com.
This is Tech News Today for Monday, March 28th, 2011. Tech News Today is brought to you by Go to Assist Express. If you're in tech support, solve problems fast with the leader in remote support software. Go to Assist Express. For a free 30-day trial, visit gotoassist.com/TNT. And by Freshbooks. Freshbooks is the easy online invoicing service that gets you paid quickly and makes you look professional. Get started with a free package at freshbooks.com. Welcome to Tech News Today. I'm Tom Merritt.
I'm Sarah Lane.
I'm Darren Kitchen.
I'm Jason Howell.
And this is the show we kick around the tech news of the day. It is Ayaz Akhtar's first day at TWiT. He is here in the corner. He'll be in the chat room hanging out.
And in the Infinity Monitor.
Yeah, that's right. More Ayaz
Actually,
than you
there's
could
just
ever.
two of them.
Yeah.
They bought the smaller Ayaz.
He'll be hosting the
Portable
show
Ayaz.
tomorrow.
Yes.
He'll be co-hosting, but we're just letting him get his sea legs because he just sailed here from New York.
Right. Which is a really long way to go.
Yeah, he took the Vasco
Boy,
da
are his
Gama
fins tired.
route.
I
Yeah,
don't know why he chose to do that.
you know, you want to see the sights.
That's why we hired him, because he's crafty. He thinks outside the box.
That's right. I'm going to take a sailing ship. All right, let's get to the top story today. Jack Dorsey, the man who wrote the first Twitter post, is coming back.
So he didn't just write the first Twitter post. He helped
Well,
create
he lists on his Twitter himself as creator, co-founder, and chairman of Twitter, which he is, in fact, all three of those things. He's currently chairman of the board.
So he was the co-founder of Twitter with Evan Williams. Well, and Biz Stone. It was a try.
They all three co-founded
Yeah.
it. But I guess they all sort of agree that it was Jack's idea.
Yeah, everyone seems to always. Well, Jack Dorsey, he really invented Twitter, and the other two played their parts as well.
They were the David Prager and Foo to Jack Dorsey's Kevin Rose.
Oh. Now we have to explain what that meant.
Just move on.
Just move on. Enough people are in.
So, and then in 2008, for reasons that at least the three of us couldn't quite figure out, because it was never very clear why Jack Dorsey was pushed out in 2008, but he left the company, stayed on as chairman, but then went to found and still runs. He's the CEO of a company called Square.
In fact,
which
he
is
says,
a mobile payment company.
I will be CEO of Square forevermore.
Forevermore.
Like he's
You need
Edgar
backup
Allan
singers for
Poe.
that.
Yeah, forevermore. One word, apparently.
Or maybe a raven.
Yeah. So,
Apparently.
I mean,
Well, it goes on with the whole tweeting thing with the birds, you know?
Right.
Right.
So it's interesting that Jack and Ev have essentially traded places because they're not both head of product. But, Ev has been head of product the last
Since he stepped down as CEO and handed that over to Dick, he's been head of product.
And now he is somewhat vaguely working on other things, spending a lot of time away from the office.
He's in Tahoe with his kids.
He's in Tahoe
doing some macrame.
He always kind of struck
getting
me
in touch,
as
making some stone sculptures.
Maybe some shell art.
Yeah, some driftwood art.
Yeah, that's very in right now up in Tahoe, I hear. He always struck me as the kind of person who was not interested in running a very large, successful, not that he doesn't want to run a successful company, but Twitter is a very different product than it was when the three guys got together and put together a service that really caught on like wildfire. I also wonder why Jack Dorsey is running Square not a full-time job now that they have their credit card company deals?
I think it is. Like, as we'll hear later on in the show, mobile payments has really taken off.
Yeah. I just don't know how he has time to run product for Twitter, which I would think that would be a lot of work.
That
and
sounds
also
like
run
a full-time job, too.
Yeah, so I don't know. What's going on? What do you think, Darren?
Well, I mean, obviously, between the time that he was there working on that and now, Twitter has calmed down at least technologically wise, and I think they have the resources to expand and do some bright new things. I mean, we've seen cool innovations from them, at least with their website. With the what version was that, 2 or 3? The new version, and
new
they're,
Twitter they call it.
And then they're busy eating their children. I mean, whatever it is that they do with the other people that make cool things.
No, they made
with
it
their
through
API.
Donner Pass. They're actually in
They made it
Donner,
through Donner Pass. So I don't know. Maybe they're just going to add like how else can you innovate Twitter, right? I mean, other than add for 141st character, that'd be cool. Like one more for all of us. Like maybe not even an optional one.
That'll
just
be
like,
Twitter's one more thing.
Yeah, just
literally
one
more thing.
Literally, like
a single character.
Maybe it's like not even an optional thing. Maybe it just like randomly adds an exclamation point. Then all of a sudden Twitter is more exciting.
It's more dynamic. I kind of feel like that's the role Dorsey is going to be put in. They're asking him. They're saying, "Look, Evan's getting bored. He wants to go do another startup. He wants to go on his own. Will you come in and kind of fill the role of visionary?" And for product development, just sit there in a comfy chair and spout out amazing ideas, and then we'll go and implement them.
Okay, that actually does sound like something where that role, you have to rotate those people out because you get burnt out on that stuff, You got to get some fresh minds in there, and sounds like he's the right man for the job.
What's interesting, too, is it sounds like Twitter has been trying to fill this position for some time and has talked to some other folks, never hired anybody. So it's not as if they were like, listen, if Ev wants to step back, the only guy for the job is Dorsey. It's almost like, well, the timing has worked out well for all parties involved, and they're going to give it another go. So
it is weird, though. His title is going to be Executive Chairman in charge of product development. He says, "Today I'm thrilled to get back to work at Twitter, leading product as Executive Chairman, and yes, leading Square forevermore as CEO. Pound 200%. Don't understand that hashtag.
I don't understand that.
But Executive Chairman is basically taking his title of Chairman
giving it his
and adding the word
200%.
executive to it.
Well, when you're already
Maybe he didn't
chairman
have enough characters
and you're
to
already
write
the
winning.
creator, then you have to, I mean, head of product isn't going to cut it.
Yeah.
You got to be executive chairman of the world.
I'm not just chairman. I'm executing things. And I will execute any of you who do not implement my vision correctly.
Yes.
All right, on to Worldwide Developers Conference has been officially scheduled now for 2011. It'll take place as usual in San Francisco at the Moscone Center. The conference will be held from June 6th through June 10th, and there will be a keynote. Usually that keynote is on the first day, June 6th. We'll focus on the future of iOS and macOS. So no hardware announcements, all about software, which actually is not that surprising. It's a developers conference, software programmers. But a lot of folks are saying it doesn't sound like they're going to make an iPhone announcement, which is usually where we get an iPhone announcement is at WWDC, and then it comes out later this summer. That, combined with a TechCrunch article from MG Siegler that says that iOS 5, will not launch until the fall and be a major revamp of the operating system, although it will probably be previewed at WWDC. All of that together says we may not see an iPhone this summer. We may not see an iPhone until fall.
And people were already disappointed that we didn't hear anything about iOS 5 at the iPad 2 announcement. Folks were hoping that it was going to be a bundle of some good news, and that was never even brought up. So it was already like, where was all this news? For it not to be launched at WWDC, I mean, I'm disappointed, but I also feel like it makes sense that if one's delayed, they're both delayed. And it sounds like Apple is behind in ordering parts that would be components for the iPhone 5 anyway, so maybe they're not even exactly sure what this thing is going to look like, and things need to be signed off on yet, and everything is just being pushed back as a result.
Right, because if it's not ready, it's not ready. But the thing that I find interesting here is like, okay, so in the last 4 years now since it was introduced, the whole mobile landscape has completely been revolutionized, like with players like Android and the Windows Phone 7. And we've seen like giant leaps with like dual core phones and stuff like that now, and it kind of seems like well, the other players, like especially the Android ones, can like there's a new phone like every couple of months on that. Apple has this regular release schedule. I'm just wondering if the revs are going to start slowing down.
Well, I wonder how much this has to do with OS Lion, too. I mean, that's still scheduled for the summer.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much these two will depend on each other. I would assume
there has been a lot of talk about bringing them closer and closer. Obviously not interoperable. Well, not entirely interoperable.
Right. But I wonder if Apple's like, we've really got to get Lion out there first. That just makes more sense.
Yeah.
I don't know how much that factors into this as well.
A lot of Chinese manufacturers are reporting that Apple is not ordering parts that they would need to order to make a new iPhone in the amounts that they would need to. So they're not seeing a ramp up in parts. So that lends credence to the idea that we would not see a new iPhone until later in the fall.
They need the parts.
I think we're going to find out at WWDC. We're going to hear about iOS 5. They say the future of iOS. The future of iOS is iOS 5. They're going to talk about it at WWDC. Whether they actually say when the next platform, when the next phone is going to launch, is going to be the question. Now, getting back to that TechCrunch article, MG says that it will launch in fall, be a major revamp. Two things that I found interesting. One is that it would have a music locker service. That could be another reason for deciding to put this off, is they need more time to really negotiate that music agreement with the major labels. They could see several new services launch from Apple that take advantage of cloud services, and also a location service that focuses on finding friends and family members.
So it's almost like Find My Kid.
It's like color.
Like Find My iPhone. Where's my kid?
Yeah, find my kid's iPhone.
Find my family members. Yeah, that's just what I need. My mom.
Well, that would be cool if you're meeting up somewhere, like you're meeting up at the mall, and you're like, you could just look on a map, like, oh, there they are. They're on their way.
Yeah, no, I mean, there are some services that will already give you geolocation information if somebody has, if we're in a group texting, on Beluga or something, but I have to keep pinging you to let you know where I am.
Is Google Latitude on iOS at all?
Yeah, you can use Google Latitude on iOS.
Yeah, you can do that too.
In fact, and there's Glimpse. You can use Glimpse with iOS. So there's lots of ways to do it right now, but this would be Apple's way of doing it, which means that everyone would pay attention to it for the first time.
Exactly. Legitimizing Glimpse and Latitude. That's interesting.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, because Google is Latitude. It's like, that's not like some little startup.
Never heard of them.
They got some people. I'll tell you about them later.
I did hear about them because they hired some guy named James Gosling today.
Not just some guy, man. You're talking about the father of Java, right?
He's the guy who created the original design of Java, implemented its original compiler and virtual machine. He left Sun in a huff after the acquisition by Oracle. He has referred several times in writings to Larry Ellison as LPOD.
Or
Larry, Prince of Darkness.
That's awesome.
He has been critical of Android fragmentation, saying that one of the problems is they violated the write once, run anywhere principle of Java, and that's why you're having these problems with Android fragmentation. So there's one reason why they'd want Gosling on the staff right there.
Yeah, well, not just that. I mean, he left like a year ago, so for the last year, he's just been like grooming that thing. That beard it is.
Yes.
I think Google
has an epic beard.
He has epic geek beard, and I think Google just goes after people with those.
They do. They went after Vince Cerf, Krista Bona. They have a lot of good, smart, bearded people and unbearded people as well. There's also the thought that he might be helpful in the lawsuit between Google and Oracle, although he has said there are no guiltless parties with white hats in this little drama. This skirmish isn't much about patents or principles or programming languages. The suit is far more about ego, money, and power.
But even him having said that, he has accepted a job from Google where even he is like, I'm not exactly sure what I'll be doing day to day, a little of this, a little of that. But he will be working for one side of the two parties involved in this lawsuit.
He's going to be picking a side now, is what you're saying. Yeah. You kind of feel like if you could be Google and bring to the stand, we'd like to call to the stand the founder of Java, the father of Java.
Founder of Java.
That's gonna carry a little weight. His testimony will carry a little weight. It's just a matter of whether they can get his testimony to be more on their side, which they probably can't. Hey, you're in tech support, Darren.
I do it every now and then, yep.
Our sponsor today on Tech News Today is Go to Assist Express.
I love them.
I know you love them. You use them all the time, right?
Yeah, I was just using it the other day to help somebody on a Mac, actually. It was pretty cool because I don't know if everybody knows, but it works on both PC and Mac, and it totally fixed some Entourage Outlook 2011 issues. It was great.
Go to Assist Express is brought to you by our friends at Citrix. They help bring you lots of great TWiT shows, including Tech News Today. Go to Assist recently named the worldwide market leader in remote support. Don't want to interrupt the flow of news too much, but we do like to tell you about our sponsors because that's how we pay for the show, and they're really good at what they do. We're very careful of how we pick sponsors at TWiT. Go to Assist Express, easy to use, affordable, secure. You don't have to pre-install software on your customer's computer. You just start your session with one click, send the person an invitation, they connect, and then PC or Mac, you're up and running, you share the screen, you find the problem. They don't even need to be at the computer. You can fix it for them. Go to Assist, brought to you by Citrix, and all the data exchanged during your session is completely secure with end-to-end 128-bit encryption. So try them out for free for 30 days. That's the deal. That's what they're giving you to entice you to give them a shot. Go to assist.com/TNT is the address if you want to support our show. And we really thank Citrix for all their support and for making such good products. Go to assist.com/TNT. On to more news. Komodo hacker claims he's the one who stole the certificates.
Not the Iranian government. No, just one hacker.
He says he's an amazing hacker.
He says he has the power of 1,000 hackers.
That's right. He said that. He hacked the SSL certificates stolen from Komodo that we talked about last week. He claims no association with either the government or the Iranian cyber army. What he says is that he went to globaltrust.it and instantssl.it. Those are two partners of CA, the Certificate Authority Komodo, that allowed him to get in through the back door, essentially. He found a DLL, disassembled it, and in it found plain text username and passwords that are used as the ability to get a certificate signing request.
Hooray for reverse engineering.
All he had to do was use that username and password, make some CSRs to Komodo. Komodo automatically delivered their certificates. That's how he got his 8 certificates.
To Komodo's credit, they did instantly notice that this was wrong. Though then again, Komodo has something like this has happened to them before. Back in 2008, one of their resellers actually issued a certificate without proper authorization for Mozilla.org. Interestingly, Mozilla actually even went as far as, when this went down, to go ahead and explicitly block the offending certificates and issued a patch in the Firefox for RC2 as well as the 3.5 and 3.6 builds. Kind of not really the way to attack this problem. The problem was that these keys were issued off of the root certificate rather than an intermediary. But, I don't know.
But we saw this with HB Gary, too. It's insecure username and password management that is often the weakest link. Now, in HB Gary's case, there was people being the problem. In this case, people were kind of tangential to the problem, which was having it plain text within the DLL.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Whether it's, something as simple as people, putting passwords in plain text in DLLs, or, social engineering a person, or a remote exploit that didn't exist yesterday, then, it still comes down to, hey, this is a certificate authority, and when you stop trusting the certificate authorities, then all hell breaks loose.
Well, so he didn't have to be a hacker with the strength of 1,000 hackers.
Well, he claims to be in his manifesto. It's pretty hot, I gotta say.
You gotta have a manifesto.
Dude, the mentor had one, and he's rocking his own. He says, I am not a group of hackers. I'm a single hacker with experience of 1,000 hackers. I'm a single programmer with experience of 1,000 programmers. I'm a single planner and project manager with experience of 1,000 project managers. Well, that's a headache. So you're right. He didn't say the headache part. That's me. It's managed by a group of hackers, but it was only I with experience of 1,000 hackers.
It's like the voices of 1,000 hackers crying out at once and then suddenly silence.
Yes, Obi-Wan.
All right, let's move on to Google working on a Nexus Tablet. Now, I kind of thought this was the Motorola Zoom, but according to intelligence acquired by a Russian blog called Mobile Review, LG has been asked to produce a pure Google Nexus tablet, which would be ready midsummer or early autumn. So this would be like the Nexus S or the Nexus 1 before it. It would be the reference design, and it would be only manufactured to Google specs. Whereas I guess the difference is the Motorola Zoom, while it is vanilla honeycomb on it, is still under the control of Motorola.
Right. But will it be under some Motorola wrapping paper?
What, the Zoom?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Zoom is not under that kind of wrapping paper, but Ayaz and I were talking about that earlier today, and he's convinced that they're going to put some sort of new version of Moto Blur or something over the top of the Zoom eventually, and that's why Google wants something that they are entirely in control of, and they're just asking LG to make it the way they did with the Nexus.
Talk about an outcry coming from something like that. That feels like having the rug pulled out from under your feet if you get a device based on the fact that it's pure vanilla. I think that's a big selling point for people right now.
I don't really think Motorola
having them add Moto Blur over the top of it, that's a slap in the face.
Nobody wants anything added to Android, correct?
Well, that's not true. I mean, some people specifically get the Samsung because they like the way they've tweaked it.
Totally. Or the HTC Sense UI is pretty popular too. Yeah.
Yeah, and more power to them for taking what is supposedly an open source platform and customizing it to their whim. I mean, that's the whole idea behind it. It is. I think it's interesting to see that this happening again with like the tablet, because wasn't it Motorola that got the huge push as kind of one of the premier ones with the Motorola Droid really catapulting Android to huge success years ago, and then Android Google having to go out and be like, here's the Nexus One. It's the Google only one.
And that's actually a good analogy, because the Droid did not have a big interface pasted over it from Motorola.
No, it's pretty stock.
But Motorola was in control of it, and so the Nexus S came along because Google was like, this is going to be built only under our control, and we will control every little bit of it. So they want a tablet like that as well.
And they chose LG.
Look at that. I guess
they're spreading it around.
Yeah, hey,
it's interesting.
Well,
they're not sticking with one manufacturer.
You're right, because
testing the waters.
Samsung was doing the Galaxy S, and before that, who was it that did the?
It was HTC.
Nexus One?
HTC did the Nexus One, right?
That is spreading the love.
And Tyrell Corporation did the Nexus 6. All right. American Express is entering the mobile payment fray, making their own PayPal. They're going to launch something called Serve that will let consumers make purchases, take cash withdrawals from ATMs, and make person-to-person payments from their computer or their phone. So if you have Serve, you can use it anywhere that American Express works. Don't leave home without it.
There are a lot of places that don't take American Express, but otherwise it sounds like a really good move for the company.
Everybody's getting into this this digital payment sector, whether it's mobile payments or online payments. PayPal's going to have a lot of competition. In fact, Wall Street Journal reports that Google, never heard of them, will allow people with debit and credit cards from MasterCard or Citigroup to turn on an app and pay for purchases from their smartphones. At no point would they need to take their cards out of their wallets to make a purchase. They just use near-field communication from their Nexus S.
There you go.
Google plans to pay for thousands of installations of NFC systems around New York City and San Francisco.
I love it. I will not miss my little plastic cards one bit.
That way you won't be rude when you're on your phone at checkout. You'll just be having it out.
Although, then,
I don't
what
pay.
about if you get used to not taking your credit cards around, then what about when you actually need to get cash? Because your phone won't print cash for you.
No, you just wave it in front of the ATM.
Yeah.
No, but
Or if you don't feel like doing any of that NFC stuff, you could just stick with American Express, because Dan Schulman, the group president, said that he was incredibly uninterested with the form factor and the proposition change and the whole NFC
his
thing.
Quote is pretty hilarious.
Yeah.
He says, "That's incredibly uninteresting. That's a form factor shift, not a value proposition change." Speak English, Dan. I think what he's saying is, you know what? It's much easier to start something like Serve and get people to use that than to get into making them not pull their cards out of their wallets. Everybody's got a card, so if we've got them using American Express, we can make them use Serve because it's familiar. And once translated to those words, it makes a little more sense. Oh, yes, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I like the name of the product.
Serve.
I do.
You've been served.
You've been served.
With cash.
Ooh. Yes.
I'd like to be served with cash.
Things are still unresolved in Japan. This time the problem is at nuclear reactor 2. Remember a couple weeks ago we went through there's 6 reactors there. 3 and 4 were the troublesome ones in the past. Now they're finding radiation levels at the surface of water in Unit 2's turbine building, measured on March 26th and 27th at 1,000 millisieverts per hour at the surface of the water in turbine building Unit 2. All isotopes found in the water have half-lives measured in hours or days, which is good because it means the radioactivity would go away fast, with the exception of cesium-137, which is, all these things are dangerous, but at least it is the less dangerous of the isotopes. NISA, the Japanese atomic agency, said that it is possible the water came in contact with fuel rods in the reactors, but it isn't clear how that would happen. And that's the most disturbing thing about this is they've got this radioactive water. It is dangerous if you're close to it, but as long as you keep people away from it, it's not dangerous. But they don't know where it's coming from. And until you figure out where it's coming from, it's unsettling because you don't know if more of it will come out.
Yeah, it's a leaky situation, it sounds like.
Yeah. Speaking of leaky situations, on to the news fuse.
Sure, why not?
Facebook is getting more Warner Brothers movies. Now you can rent a total of 6 movies using Facebook credits. Inception, Life as We Know It, and Yogi Bear will cost you 40 Facebook credits. That's about $4. While they've also added 2 Harry Potter movies and the previously watchable Dark Knight. Those are still the cheaper $3 in Facebook credits, which I think is something like 30. So if you wanted a new way to watch Yogi Bear, now you got it.
If you want porn in India, then you and I have something in common, but you won't be able to get it from any site using the .xxx domain. The Indian government will block any site which uses XXX. However, sites using .com or .in will be evaluated on a case-by-case basis.
Ooh. You start selling a new router that only blocks everything but .xxx. Anyway, Microsoft, they're working on a new technology. Check it out. It's going to determine whether wireless frequencies are being used. So this system, it's called SpecNet. It's going to basically allow for better wireless communication since devices could operate on these unused frequencies. But don't expect it to be in any consumer devices anytime soon because it costs like upwards of 40 grand. Oops.
Yeah. All right. No one likes caps. Well, they actually like app caps, but they don't like data caps. AT&T is going to put them on their DSL services anyway. The only problem is apparently AT&T doesn't really know how to measure data usage. According to forum posts, AT&T has over-reported usage by as much as 4,700%.
Just a little bit.
4,700%. Going over the caps will result in data charges, so you kind of hope AT&T figures this thing out before the caps go official starting May 2nd.
Mushroom caps, also nice.
Yeah, especially in a nice vinegar sauce.
Yeah, shiitake. Very good. Canadian ISP Rogers has admitted to throttling World of Warcraft. What the heck? Rogers, do you hate WoW? No, the company claims that the throttling was a mistake. It does throttle P2P traffic, and apparently its servers were seeing WoW traffic as P2P sometimes, possibly since WoW uses P2P to add update patches to games. Rogers will be working with Blizzard to sort this thing out once and for all.
This is why you don't block protocols, because protocols aren't used for the same damn thing.
Yes, for the Horde.
Sing it, sister.
Earlier this month, Twitter was told by a U.S. court that it had to hand over account information in a case related to WikiLeaks. However, Twitter's fighting this and asked that the ruling be overturned, over easy. All of this is related to a U.S. government ongoing investigation of WikiLeaks.
A new study published in the Journal of Craniofacial Surgery, we know you all read it, suggested that mobile phones can have an impact on bone health. The study had men place a cell phone in their pocket for around 11 hours a day for more than 5 years. We know the jokes they made to each other. Yes, that's a cell phone in my pocket. When their legs were x-rayed, the side with the phone showed significantly lower bone mineral content and bone mineral density. So there's another reason to get the cell phone out of your pocket.
Yikes. Worried that posting on Twitter about how yummy your ham sandwich was at lunch today might undermine your credibility as a nuclear physicist? Quite the opposite, in fact, according to a study published in the March issue of Learning, Media, and Technology, something everyone here reads. Students perceive instructors who make social tweets as more credible than instructors who remain strictly business. Apparently knowing that a Twitter stream is not run by a bot, but a professor who loves ham is,
you have to rub it in.
It helps make them believe in you.
Not everybody needs to know how delicious your ham sandwich is. I don't believe so.
My professor told me quantum computing is the real thing.
But
eat ham? I don't know.
Whatever you
then
bought.
how would I believe him? All
you
right.
Know anything.
MIT professor Daniel Nocera claims to have created an artificial leaf made from stable and inexpensive materials that mimics the process of photosynthesis, and he is ready to bring it to market. This isn't one of those, like, because we've been hearing about this for years, like, oh, we're going to mimic photosynthesis, and that's going to be amazing, and it'll bring us lots of energy. Nocera's leaf is stable, operates continuously for at least 45 hours without a drop in activity, and it's made of things like silicon, chemical catalysts, some electronics, stuff that's off the shelf. This isn't like weird stuff. It's also 10 times more efficient at carrying out photosynthesis than a natural leaf. And he's forged a deal with an Indian conglomerate called Tata Group to build a small power plant the size of a refrigerator within a year and a half.
Yeah, and the MIT professor, Daniel Nocera, is now setting his sights on developing countries. So, hey, if you can develop a leaf, he could probably do that.
No, I think he just wants to market it to countries that are developing.
No, it says it right there in the article.
Yeah, but I think what he means is that it's countries that are developing, not...
It's okay, Darren. I do that too sometimes.
It happens to all of us. It's perfectly natural. All right. I want to thank our other sponsor, Freshbooks. You use Freshbooks as well.
I do. It's so great.
I actually recently sent out my first invoice on Freshbooks. If you're a small business owner or freelancer, you know how painful invoicing can be. Stop feeling the pain. Go to freshbooks.com. Try it out. They'll create professional-looking invoices, even add your company logo. They'll even mail out paper versions of your invoices. They mailed me a sample this weekend.
Oh, that's great, dude. The best is you can actually add a payment gateway, so when you send out your invoice, the person receiving it can click right there and pay online with a credit card, so you don't have to wait for them to issue a check and go through the mail system, and you take it to the bank. And dude,
you do PayPal too.
Get paid quick.
Yeah. There's lots of ways for them to handle the late payment reminders, be the heavy. Try out FreshBooks for free today for up to 3 of your clients. You just set up an account. You don't have to pay them anything. You got more than 3 clients? Well, try it out with 1 or 2 of your clients. See if you like it. And when you do, which I think you will, then you can pay for the multiple clients account that you need. Everyday FreshBooks is also giving up cake.
They're giving it away.
Give up your cake, FreshBooks.
But they're giving
Hand over the cake, Canadians.
giving it to people who
give it up for the TNT. You just gotta, when you sign up in the little comments section, say I heard about this on TNT, and Everyday FreshBooks is giving away a birthday cake to one of you TNT listeners, and it doesn't have to be your birthday to win. You still get a cake.
I don't know why they're calling it birthday cake, because it's just cool cake, but I guess people just are like, what do you mean cake? You know, like a birthday cake.
It's awesome cake.
It's awesome
They're
cake.
from Canada. Don't ask.
It's impolite.
They got it. Yeah.
See, I'm not the only one who makes fun of Canadians.
Perfectly natural.
You heard it here.
Happens to everyone.
Send your email to Darren@5.
On to the calendar.
I heart you, Toronto.
Internet founding father Paul Barron has died at the age of 84. If you're unfamiliar with him, he's a pretty important dude. He conceived of what later became packet switching. Bye, Paul. We will miss you.
Yeah, you know, he went to AT&T with this at the time, and they were like, that's a stupid idea. Hang up in the middle of the call. And he's like, no, not analog. I'm talking about, they're like, that's a stupid idea. Hang up in the middle of the call. So he went to ARPA instead, and they're like, oh, yeah, Air Force gets this. We understand what you're talking about.
He was all like, sin, and they were like, ack, and he was like, sin, ack.
He's like, I don't know.
Get it on.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway. TCP jokes. Wow.
The Web 2.0 Expo kicks off in San Francisco today, March 28th, and runs through end of day Wednesday. The New York Times paywall rolls out beyond Canada this afternoon.
There is such a thing?
Yes. No, there's a big world out there. Offering discounted digital descriptions, NYT is, as part of today's paywall launch. So if you want to participate, this might be a time to pay a fewer dollars. Today is the 32nd anniversary of the reactor meltdown at 3 Mile Island. Verizon Samsung 4G LTE mobile hotspot launches on March 31st.
I think that's what I'm going to get. I was debating getting a Thunderbolt because I'm like, oh, it'd be cool to have an Android phone and then I can use it as Wi-Fi hotspot and everything. But you have to pay extra for the mobile hotspot service. And then you gotta buy the phone. Then and it's like, you know what? My Verizon MiFi contract is up March 31st. Perfect timing. It's a sign.
Yeah.
I'll just get an LTE hotspot.
Maybe you get the Android and I show you how to root it, and then you don't pay for the tethering.
Yeah,
and then you get a cease and desist. No, that's AT&T.
That's AT&T so far.
Yes,
that's true. Nah, that's a good point. I still have to pay more for it though.
Finally, AT&T says the Atrix 4G and Inspire 4G will have HSUPA enabled in April. That is the fast uploading protocol, right?
Right, because right now if you use an AT&T LTE phone like the Atrix, you might notice that if you're trying to do anything that involves uploading in large amounts, like maybe if you're broadcasting Ustream or something like that, that it's not fast. It's really slow because they did not implement HSUPA when they implemented LTE.
So come April, things will be better for you Ustreamers and the like.
On to the phones. 260-TNT show is the phone number. The other day, I was like, come on, you people, you never call. And then you did.
Hi, Tom and Sarah. You said I never call. I'm fine. How are you?
We're doing good. Thanks for calling and letting us know how you were.
Is that your mom?
No, that was definitely not mine.
It wasn't mine.
No.
Darren?
No. Couldn't be.
Yeah.
No, she just called because we said you never call, and so she called.
That was nice.
Yeah. Next time, tell us who you are.
Yeah.
Also calling and saying more than just hello, although it was very nice to hear a hello, is Mike in New Hampshire, who we talked about the story of them the government considering putting a meter in your car to track your mileage so that cars that are extra fuel efficient like hybrids wouldn't get away with paying less fuel tax than other cars. But Mike's got a better idea.
Hi, guys. This is Mike in New Hampshire. This is in response to the story about putting meters in cars to generate revenue for highway repair that might shrink with the introduction of electric cars. I know this is a tech show, but sometimes I think organizations and governments think too hard and thereby too techy. Instead, why not go with a low-tech idea and impose a tax on tires? The more you drive, the more you pay, but nobody knows where you went or when. Uproar quashed. Keep up the good work. The show really is great. Thanks.
I think that's very elegant. If we're going to have to tax something.
But that consumable varies depending on the way that you use your tires.
That's true of fuel, too, though.
Right.
There's no constant. Consumable varies depending on the way you drive.
Yeah.
I guess so. So that would,
but it doesn't vary as much as the variance between a hybrid and a gas.
So it encourages you to be less of a lead foot on the brake.
Encourages you not to do donuts in the parking lot.
It definitely discourages donuts.
That's a real shame too, because.
But tire wear, I think is, I don't know. I'm sure people will write in with the problems with tire wear, but right now I'm not seeing any big ones.
Well, doesn't it also? I mean, you're going to wear your tires down faster if there's 4 people in the car rather than 1 because the car is heavier, and so there's more. I don't know.
But I'd rather have that than them put a box in my car that's faulty and I can easily hack.
Because they're pretty much...
That's just silly.
Yeah, they're monitoring the same thing, right? It's that tire wear would be so much less invasive on people's privacy and what you're doing all day.
Right, and already Infallible points out, then that might encourage you to drive on bald tires, and that's dangerous.
Oh, yeah, don't want to do that.
Yeah, you don't want to, because you want to avoid the tax. All right. On to the emails, TNT@twit.tv. Daryl wrote in and said, in show 207, you mentioned that Google may keep all your receipt data. This was a patent filing that they had done that we were talking about. Just recently, he says, I was wishing for this exact thing. As a family, we try to stay on a budget, and this would be wonderful for categorizing. For example, my wife tries to categorize purchases from Walmart, and it's a wide range of items, and it's very difficult to accurately categorize. I would love to know that I spent $500 on toilet paper in the last 5 years. Maybe then we'd go back to single ply. Thanks. Love the show. You know, you go to single ply, you're just going to use twice as much toilet paper.
Yeah, really. I don't think you'll get what you want out of that. But that's actually a really good point. I mean, I use Mint.com, for example, and it helps categorize what I'm spending my money on each month, so I get an accurate picture like, I've been going out to restaurants too often, or I spend too much money on groceries, but it's not going to itemize anything that I buy at the grocery store.
If you go to Walmart, which sells like everything, it doesn't know what you bought there, right?
Yeah, it just puts it all into grocery.
So you could just solve this problem by not going to Walmart, instead going to the toilet paper store, and then going to, the broccoli store, and then going to the place where they only sell fruits, and then,
But eventually we're just going to order everything from Amazon, and then what happens?
Then every restaurant in the world is Taco Bell.
Yeah, right. And we need the Google patent. You know what? You know who owns Taco Bell in that Demolition Man future you're talking about?
Yeah, who?
Google.
Oh.
Really?
Yeah, totally. I'm sure of it.
I don't like the sound of that.
They're kind of lurking in the background of that entire movie. They run the world.
They designed the chalupa.
And the 3 shells.
Web 6184 is gonna debunk that here in just a bit.
Okay. Well, thanks everybody for watching. Tomorrow, Becky Worley is back on the show along with Ions Akhtar. So tune in. Send us your emails, TNT@twit.tv. Give us a call, 260-TNT-SHOW. Visit hack5.org.
And join us this Saturday, April 2nd, at the Hotsy Totsy Club in Albany, California for our Season 9 launch party.
And you can find our website at twit.tv/TNT. We'll see you there, both at the party and online and on the show tomorrow. Bye-bye.